Hey, Desties and Bride friends. So, today you are here because you want to know how this Dusty Bride right here got married in Antigua, Guatemala. And I am here to tell you because that's what I do. And I love it. And it's a Dusty Marathon. So, I am Omi Allen, hostess of the Dusty Guide to Destination Weddings podcast. And every single day, I've been sharing with you a brand new interview. And today, we are talking with this lovely bride right here, Dusty Leah, and she talks to us about everything that went on with planning her destination wedding in Antigua, and then also the fact that she moved there 90 days later is amazing. Like, it's goals, like, it's awesome. So Leah talks to us about everything related to planning her destination wedding. She shares her details on budgeting, choosing her venue, choosing her vendors, and there's even this interesting story about her wedding dress that you have to hear. So it got really good, and then we also got deeper. She talked about her views on body image and then making sure that you stay stress-free while planning your wedding. So we talked about it all, and the fact that she moved there 90 days later is absolutely crazy to me still. So, Leah, thank you so very much for this interview. I hope that you guys enjoy it. And as with all of these interviews, they're not specific to the destination. Of course, there's certain details about how to get married in a destination, but it just talks about everything that we go through as Desties. And they're all great. I enjoy this if you guys can't tell, and I hope that you do too. So, yes, I hope that you enjoy it. Let me know if you have any questions. And as a bonus, if you followed the Black Dusty blog, then you would have heard me talking about my napkin fairy. And these gorgeous napkins, there's so many more of them, but I love them, love them, love them so very much. You've seen them in my photos. These napkins were handmade for me by Leah. She has an amazing boutique called Aline Mayan. I will link to that, and I will link to everything from her wedding. You can watch her gallery because they're beautiful photos, and you can just get any other details that we talked about. They're waiting for you in Dustyland. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And then also, if you're planning a wedding, let me know where. So give me that hashtag, I'm a Dusty, and let me know where you're getting married and when you're getting married so that I can continue to bring you great interviews and give you tips and advice that are relevant to you on your journey right now. So enjoy this interview and make sure that you subscribe so that you will be notified of all the next videos. Starting in 2019, we will be doing Monday through Friday. Monday through Thursday, it's you and I, me giving you tips and advice and answering your Q&As. And then on Friday, it's a brand new interview. So it could be a Dusty Bride, it could be a Dusty Pro. You won't know unless you hit that subscribe button and ding that bell so that you are notified as soon as every video on Dusty TV comes live. So, any questions, let me know. I hope you enjoy it. Leah, thank you so very much. I'm so happy to have you, one, as our Dusty, and two, as my napkin fairy, because I love my napkins. So, yes, thank you for listening, guys. I hope that you have a great, great day, and I will see you tomorrow. Hi, everyone. Today we have a special guest. All of my guests are special, but this specific Dusty here, I found on Etsy, and she was my napkin fairy. If anyone's read my journal, you know that she was my napkin fairy from Guatemala. So it turns out that she also had a destination wedding about 3 years ago. Will it be 3 years? We'll
Yes.
see. Yes, 3
It'll
years.
be 3 years.
And I found out she had a destination wedding, so I had to really get into her business because she's amazing. So we have
So sweet.
the lovely Mrs. Leah Funkhauser, and
Yes.
she got
Hello.
married in Antigua, Guatemala. So hi, welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
No problem. So I want to just start off. How did you decide on Guatemala?
Well, we decided on Guatemala because my family, half my mom's side of the family is from Guatemala. So I was raised coming to visit here, and it's just a beautiful colonial kind of historical town. And when we got engaged, we were living in Los Angeles, and we kind of just knew that's where we wanted to get married. It's so beautiful. It's so romantic. And just to have everyone that we love all in this one place was just, our dream.
Great. And so home for you is Los Angeles?
Home for us is now Antigua, Guatemala. We moved here a year after we got married because we just loved it so much.
Oh, wow. But did you originally live in Los Angeles?
I did.
I guess would be a better.
I was born in Texas and I was raised in Los Angeles. And my dad is American and my mom is Guatemalan.
Great. Okay. And your hubby?
He's American. I just got lucky that he also loved this place too.
Okay. And how did you guys decide? Like, was it an immediate? You both in unison were like, destination wedding is the way to go?
I think so. I mean, it was sort of like, to get married in Los Angeles, everything in Los Angeles is really difficult and very expensive, and people are really intense, and our personality is a little bit more laid back, and we really wanted to be able to enjoy what we were paying for instead of having to struggle and having to, be so stressed out and just enjoy it. And I think that we had seen pictures, and I've always seen, beautiful brides walking around the streets of Antigua and thought, oh my gosh, like that's just kind of something I've dreamt about.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Yeah. You sent me a few photos just while you were out scouring.
Yes.
Scouring the market for my napkins. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So,
yeah, it's really beautiful.
Yeah, I can only imagine. We will have photos added to the blog, but just know that it's amazing. So,
yes.
Can we ask how long you were engaged?
We were engaged for a little bit over a year. He asked me to marry him on St. Patrick's Day, which is in the end of March.
Okay.
And then the following year in May, we got married.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it was a pretty quick.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, it was a good amount of time to be able to just get everything set up. Also, because we weren't there, I guess it just, and we didn't want to do it over Easter, and then it's our birthdays in March, and then all of a sudden it became May. So that's fine.
Right. So did you pick your date first and then kind of work backwards from there, or?
Well, I think we kind of picked like a window, and then once we picked the venue, we figured out what time they had available within that window.
Right. Okay. And so I'm not going to assume that you did this yourself because you are amazing and you have the most wonderful textiles and designs I've seen out.
Thank you.
But did you have a planner or did you do everything yourself? How did you decide on
Well, my parents moved back here, I guess I should say, like 4 years before we got married. So my mom really helped me in like scouting the locations, and really she called herself my wedding planner. She was here. She was doing everything. She was talking to everyone,
right,
and making sure, that everything was going to go as well as it could with the pictures and everything that I had always sent her and explained to her and all that stuff. But also the hotel that we got married, you'll see in the pictures, there's a woman there that also helped a lot with doing all the planning and the logistics and, all the
so
stuff.
They had a coordinator, basically?
Yes,
that was
exactly. Mm-hmm.
What's the name of the hotel?
Porta Hotel Antigua.
Ooh, say that again.
Porta Hotel Antigua.
Porta Hotel Antigua.
Yes.
Like that. That sounds much better coming from you.
Yes. Thanks. It's a really beautiful hotel, and, it's sort of open, and they have that same colonial architecture and really romantic with like tons of candles, and, you'll see in the pictures. It's so pretty.
Okay. Yeah. So because your parents were there already and you are half Guatemalan, did you have how many people did you have? And Right.
We had about 80 people fly to Guatemala, which is
Wow.
a lot.
That's big.
But
Yeah.
yeah, between his family and my family, and then about 20 Guatemalans that came, 20 to 25. I think we had like 110 guests, more or less,
Okay.
in
Well,
that. Yeah.
yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of people for a destination.
It
Well,
was. It
somewhat.
really
Yeah.
was. We were really, I mean, pleasantly, happily surprised at all the people that, came from out of, from the States.
Yeah. Did as far as your budget goes, did you plan around the guests? Like, had you immediately said, we're going to get married in Antigua, this is how much we're going to spend, and then went from there? Or from what I've been seeing, some people also do the opposite, where it's how many people can we. Obviously, you start off with a number in your mind. Did it
Right.
inflate with the, like, were you expecting 80 to 100 guests?
No, we weren't. But the space that we rented out was like, the reception area, the woman, once we selected the space, there's a few different kind of banquet areas in Porta Hotel that you can select. One's for 50 people and one's for 100 people. So we kind of just knew that, okay, if 50 people come from the States, then we could have 50 of my Guatemalan family there. It's better to have more space than not enough space and be crowded, and, it worked out great, So
Right.
we sort of just knew that at least 50 people were going to come from the States. And then, you kind of forget that those 50 people are going to bring their guest.
With them, right?
Yeah.
Those plus ones. So I assume
Exactly.
everyone was allowed to bring a plus one.
Yes, we allowed people to bring a plus one. And, there was even people there that we didn't know because of that, which
Yeah.
was, interesting and fun, because obviously if it's somebody that we love that they're bringing to our wedding, they've got to be cool.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Did you have any pushback? Like, did you get any of I guess, what was the main response that you got when you said, hey, we're having a destination wedding?
Well, I think a lot of, especially my side of the family, they all know the connection to Guatemala. They all know that, it's part of my history and my culture. And so it wasn't really shocking for my side of the family as much as it was for my husband's side. For them, it was sort of like, wow, this adventure that they were going to embark on, you know, to sort of come to Latin America, because many of them hadn't even, been here.
Right.
So that was the only thing that was a little bit kind of not stressful, but just because they weren't familiar with it, we had to make sure that they had pickups at the airport, and we were at least there because everyone here speaks Spanish, to help translate and to make sure everyone was just taken care of.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's good. Doesn't seem like anything crazy
Yeah.
happened. There wasn't a lot of no.
No. Yeah. Luckily, most people have a passport, which is good.
Good. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So when you, I guess back to the travel piece, did you use a travel agent, or were people?
No, we didn't. My husband he does web design and graphic design, so we created this like really awesome wedding website that was pages of, here's, because we've been coming here so much, we know, like, if you fly Delta and you're in Houston, you're going to get here at this time. Or if you fly from LA, you're going to get here at this time. And some family in Pittsburgh, you have to stop in Houston, but it's a red eye. Some are red eye. Some get in at 4 p.m. Excuse me. So we sort of just listed it all out on the wedding website, what you could do and which airlines bring you here and how to get from, because the airport is about an hour to Antigua. So how to get, what we could do to sort of arrange. There's going to be a van picking up, 14 people at this time, and this time. And
Oh,
that's
wow.
sort of how we did it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys handled all of the logistics for the most part.
Yeah, we tried. We really tried. I mean, all of our adventurous, the people in the wedding party and people, who are staying ahead of time and after to sort of make it a vacation, we let them sort of do their own thing because, you know, they had either been here before or traveled other places in the world, and we weren't worried about them.
Right. And because it was such a large party, everyone wasn't able to stay at the same hotel that you had your wedding, were they? Or
No, and we provided also a few, we had, I think our block was like 50 rooms because the hotel is quite big. But we did provide some alternate options also for people who didn't really have that in their price range to stay at
Mhm.
the actual hotel where the wedding was. We spent a night in the hotel when Dave and I came down to visit and make sure this is the place we wanted to get married. We stayed in the hotel and we walked around and we found, you know, 3 other hotels that were nice that we liked, but just sort of on different budget platforms.
Oh, great. So you were
Yeah,
able to go there ahead of time and kind of scout it out and see what you were getting yourselves into. So that's amazing.
exactly. Yeah. And we also did the food tasting when we flew down too, because we had a buffet style food, just to make sure we liked everything.
Yes, I can only wish that I could do that. We're doing all of that stuff the week that we get there, which will be great,
Oh my gosh.
but
Yeah,
it'll
which
be
is
with the
better than not doing it at all.
well, yeah, that's true. So
Yeah.
we're trusting our planner to begin with to go, hey, taste everything, Joyce. Let us know, make sure it's good.
Right.
But then we'll also be there too. But at the same time, the catering, the place where we're having our wedding, they're allowing us um to basically change what we need to change at the last moment.
Good.
So that's good.
If you don't like the fish, you can
Right.
get a lobster or whatever.
Yeah, right. So that's all great.
That's good.
You mentioned your bridal party. How many people did you have?
We both had 6. We had 6 guys and 6 girls.
Huh. Did it end up even that way on purpose or?
I think so. I think it was more like, you know, many of obviously my maid of honor. I mean, there was no question, and then friends I've had for forever, and then you know our families. You know, my sister-in-law and my brother and his brother like had to be. You know, there's those sort of have to things. It just sort of it worked out that you know we were able to have all those people that were most important to us up there with us.
Great. And I know that a concern with your bridal party when you're having a destination wedding is usually how do I ask people to come to the wedding and spare that expense, but then also buy your dress and your hair and your makeup and
Yeah.
that. How did you deal with that kind of
Well, I tried to pick a dress that I thought was cute, like also to wear to someone else's wedding or to wear somewhere else during the spring. I mean, you know, I said, and I sort of just picked a specific color. It's like this J. Crew. I'm sure you've seen them bridesmaid dresses, and I picked this greenish kind of gray color and said, pick whichever style you want because I want you to be able to wear it again. And also, each of my bridesmaids is different. They're kind of their own individual. So
right?
I just picked the color and let them pick whichever dress they wanted. And then for the hair and makeup, here we had like one of our family friends doing our hair and makeup. So she charged me like nothing. And I just kind of, you know, talked to the girls and said, you know, they did their own makeup. But I just showed pictures to this lady who did all of their hair. And I just, you know, paid her a small nothing, you know, to do it all.
Oh, that's great. So was she like
Yeah.
she just happened to be a stylist and you kind of
She
lucked
did,
out?
yeah. She does like hair and makeup for weddings, and she was happy to help in exchange for, you know, getting some pictures. And some of the hairstyles, I mean, you know, I was of course like looking all over Pinterest to find hairstyles and stuff that I wanted. And, you know, some of the girls, you know, was just like straightening their hair and adding a little braid on the side and that's it. So it wasn't like nothing crazy.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. And then as far as with your venues, because it was the hotel and you did have that coordinator, Did you have to did you use all of their preferred vendors, or did you reach out to, the photographers, or did you have a videographer, or the DJs and the florists, all of those? How did you, I know your mom was helpful, but
Yeah, she was. The hotel worked with a florist, so we just went with them, and I just said, I want purple and white, and she showed me this book when we came down of the different, types of flowers. I can't even remember. I think it was like lilies and some other purple flower,
Mhm.
maybe some purple roses. Anyway, the hotel did all the flower arrangements and everything. She didn't do our bouquets, but she did all the flower arrangements in where we actually walked down the aisle, area where the actual ceremony was. And then for the reception, all the centerpieces, everything, they did all of that stuff. And then what else did you ask? Oh, all the other stuff. The DJ we found here, just some regular party DJ guy. And I just gave him a list of songs. And because, we sort of wanted a little bit more of a traditional wedding that they don't necessarily always do here, I had to give him a list at okay, the first you have to do the father-daughter dance song, and
Right.
then you do the mother-son dance song, and then you do the couple first dance song, or however, it
Wow.
actually went. I had to give a specific list and make sure that it was and then I gave him our favorite 10 songs and then said, just play this kind of genre of music. So that worked out.
Yeah, it seems like you should. Do you do wedding planning on the side?
No, but I've thought about it. I mean, I think that if I ever had any friends that wanted to get married here, I would be happy to do their wedding planning.
Is it too late for me? Let's see. 108 days.
I think it might be.
This maybe. Oh man, it's so funny. I'm just hearing about all of these brides who are just so cool, and I immediately, when I first started with planning, I thought that destination weddings, just people think that you're cool and you're relaxed, but you can't be, and that's not possible. But it's really, the more
Yeah.
and more I interview you wonderful Dusties, I'm realizing that, yeah, I think I might be the person who is the opposite of what a real Dusty is supposed to be, because you guys are so cool and you just are going with the flow and handling it. So,
Well,
wow.
that's one thing when you sent me the list of questions, and one thing I think I wrote it down, and it's a piece of advice. I'm the same as you. I'm not that overly controlling, but I like things to go a certain way. And it's when it comes to your wedding, those specific details that you have in your mind and the way you want it to go and you imagine it to go for however long, nobody else is going to know that, this cup is on the left-hand side instead of the right-hand side. That kind of little stuff. It's you just sort of have to give it up and just kind of go with the flow. At that moment, it's as long, the most important thing is you're there with your husband and the people that you love the most. And that's the part that's the most exciting and meaningful and lovely. And the little stuff, you just sort of have to okay, just take a deep breath and just okay, as long as nothing disastrous happens, it'll be great.
Right. It sounds so much easier.
I know.
Great,
I understand.
will.
I really do.
I'm going to listen to these videos, and I'm going to just take all this wonderful advice and write it down, and then I'm going to use it. Watch. I'm going to use it all.
Yeah, just take a deep breath and try your best to be in the moment, and it goes by so fast.
That is one of the biggest things. It goes by so fast. Did you end up doing a full weekend, like a pre-wedding, something at post-wedding? Did you guys do
We did. We did. Well, we invited people to come out as early as ahead of town as they wanted to. We were here a week early, and then people started kind of trickling in, and we did, the whole rehearsal dinner, and then we did a cocktail hour, and then the hotel that we had the wedding had a pool. So after the ceremony, we all hung out on the pool at the pool on Sunday. And then we flew off to our honeymoon on Monday. So people stayed, but it was still we had a good amount of time. Actually, on Thursday night, we had sort of a party that just happened at a local restaurant here with like 40 of our best friends.
It just happened.
It just happened. Yeah. And it was great. It was awesome.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay. Did you, I'm not going to ask you to name any specific names, but were there any, how did you deal with any disappointments, any disappointing behaviors, be it someone who couldn't attend your wedding or someone who wasn't doing the things that you would like them to do? They weren't Team Dusty all the way.
Yeah.
How did you deal with that? Keep everything wonderful.
That's a very good question, because there was a specific thing, a couple of things that happened, and I'll try my best not to be extra specific, but it was that same advice that, like, there was a moment where I was getting my hair done and I kept getting all these phone calls, and it was before, I think the night before it was the night before the rehearsal dinner, because I wanted to get, my hair done differently than how it usually is, obviously. And Dave was with his family, and I was just sitting there, and my brother happened to be there. My phone kept ringing, and I was like, just getting, worked up. And Johnny's like, Leah, just put the phone down. Stop answering your phone. People are going to figure it out.
Right.
And I did. And I felt so much better after that. And people figured it out. And of course, they're not going to say the next day, why didn't you answer my phone call? Because I'm the bride.
Yeah.
And it was fine. But at that moment, I just needed that, like, someone standing over me to say, like, Leah, just put the phone away. Like, don't worry about it. It'll be okay. And also, my maid of honor really, like, she stepped up. John, my brother, and my maid of honor really stepped up and, like, helping me to not be stressed out and to make sure everything around me, like, I wasn't necessarily, there was things that people told me that happened after we got back from the honeymoon. They just kept it from me so that I didn't get stressed out. And that was great.
Like, yes, thank you. I didn't need to know that.
I don't want to hear about that, whatever drama you're going through. I can't do anything about it right now because we have to stay, composed and beautiful.
I wish that they could see what you're doing right now. But just for everyone that's listening, she has this flip hair, flip face, just keep it cool motion that she has.
Exactly.
Just completely in love with right now. But yes. Yeah, I feel like, did you have the same sort of stuff that was going? So you just had a really great support system. Your brother was great, and your maid of honor. Everyone was great, but they were like your core. This is my team right now.
Yeah, absolutely. They really helped me. And looking back on it, because I know what was actually happening in certain situations, like looking back on it and realizing how I was so not affected by it because I just didn't know. It was great.
Great. Yeah.
I'm thankful for them.
I'm thankful for them too, because it kept you wonderful, and it kept your photos great, and it has you here right now, happy to talk about a destination wedding instead of this is why you should not.
It was amazing. I wouldn't have changed a thing.
So as I guess I have a few things that I do want to talk about. Your honeymoon is coming up, just by the way, too, because I didn't know that you went anywhere with that. But what advice can you offer a Dusty who's trying to just figure out the budget and how to keep track of their money?
I mean, I'm really, what's the word? I mean, not non-technical, but I like to write things down. I'm not necessarily so good at like an Excel spreadsheet as much as I'd like to just be old school and take a book and write it down and say, okay, catering, dress, whatever, this is how much we have, and sit there and do it all with my pen and paper.
Right.
That's the best. I mean, because you can see it, you can visualize it instead of having to constantly go back. You can keep the little notepad in your purse, and if you think of something else that you need, whatever, don't forget your something blue. Don't forget your something borrowed. You need the little, what's it called? Garter.
Your garter, yeah.
Yeah, like, little stuff. Keep a notebook in your bag and, just kind of write it down and write down your ideas of, if you do want a destination wedding and you don't know where you want it to be, start doing research and write down, your top 5 places and go over them with your fiance and make sure that, you both agree on it, because obviously, they always say the wedding is for the bride, but it's for the both of you, like you want your husband to be equally as happy as you are.
Right. Speaking of your husband, how did you keep him on board? Was he all the way in the planning or?
Like half and half. I mean, he was on board with whatever I was on board with, and whatever I needed help with, he would offer me advice, and I would show like, okay, here's these 3 pictures of, here's purple flowers and here's the succulent arrangement, or here's a, all white. Which ones do you like? What do you think? Do you. And he sort of just, helped me also be sane in those moments where you start getting worked up and, oh God, it's coming.
Right, yeah. Did you guys
And that's just as helpful.
right? Uh, did you guys have to, like, did you end up, as far as money goes, did you guys just have a lump sum that you knew you were going to spend off the top, or did you end up like putting together a savings plan throughout the wedding?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Well, we had a bit of a budget when we began, and our families sort of came together and, like, paid for something, said, like, volunteered to pay for something here and pay for something there. And also the venue gave us, this is how much it's going to cost for 100 guests, for all the flower arrangements, and for the buffet dinner for all the people. And, then you sort of just kind of go from there, I think.
Right. Okay. So did you stay on budget?
Yeah, we did. We did. And that was kind of like, I feel like one of the great things about having a destination wedding, for me at least, in my experience, is that it was no like extreme shock, like, oh gosh, we went overboard here, so, now we owe an extra $500 or something. It was really like what the hotel said that they were going to charge us, they did. And, we brought in all of the alcohol ourselves from, we could have gone through the hotel, but they said if you want to get your own and bring it in, it's obviously going to be a lot cheaper. So that's what we did.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it was
That's
great.
usually a pretty big chunk of budget.
Yeah, exactly. And we went to, like, basically what would be like a Costco, and of course they still served them nicely. There was a bartender, and it was just, we just went and stocked up and provided all of that stuff, which was really nice for them to sort of allow us to do.
Yeah, that is.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Because our friends are really, not that they're drunks, but they like to have fun.
Yeah, they're.
And we didn't want to say, like, you can only have 2 drinks, that's all. But so
Yeah, here are your
it works out good.
tickets. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Here's your bracelet.
Hey, so, but I guess what was your biggest concern when planning your wedding? Before you started, what was it like? Oh, I really hope that this goes right.
I think my biggest concern was the language, because so many people don't speak Spanish, and because the airport is in Guatemala City, which is, it's not really the best city. It's dangerous if you don't really want to get lost there.
Right.
So it was a matter of having everyone set up perfectly to get from the airport to the hotel without, encountering any extreme language barriers or, anything scary or whatever. That was it. Just the language, I think. And I was still dealing with that while I was here, sort of like translating and, making sure one person went with someone that at least knows like 2 words of Spanish. And some people do speak English here, at least if you try, and, you can get by.
They can work with you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. So, your dress.
Mm-hmm.
When you were looking for your dress, did you look based off of just whatever you wanted, or did the fact that you're having a destination wedding have anything to do with your choice?
No, well, I looked at what I had dreamed of and what I wanted, but once I started trying them on, that like I have a lot of arm tattoos, and I wanted to cover them up and wear sort of like a lace kind of long sleeve dress,
Mm-hmm.
just so that I was more subtle and people weren't looking at my tattoos. But when I started trying on long sleeve dresses, I looked like a linebacker. It was like, whoa, I couldn't, it just didn't work with my body type, you know? And you'll see in the pictures, what I ended up with was actually, you know, not something I had ever imagined being in, but it just really worked. And I had that feeling when I put it on, like, you know, we had gone to 3 other fittings and I had one that I kind of liked and I put it on hold. But this one, it was like I wasn't gonna even put it on hold. I was
This
going to,
it
but actually the place, yeah, this was it. This, I mean, you know, me and my mom cried. It was like the whole, you know, yay, here's the one. But the cool thing about my dress was I found it at this place in LA where you can rent your wedding dresses. So you can basically rent like a very fancy dress that you might not really be able to afford for, you know, a quarter of the price. For the whole week, I rented this like gorgeous dress, and I turned it back in.
interesting. So,
Yeah.
oh, you have it. Yeah, I've got questions. I considered that, and me specifically, my body type, my measurements
Mhm.
just I couldn't fit into the sample, so I just had a hard time
Right.
finding something
And then you
that.
have to imagine it, and it's like, yeah.
Yeah, you have to imagine it. But you were actually in the store, so that's extremely helpful. That's the beauty of being in LA.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
but yeah, so the other thing is now you don't have your wedding dress.
Nope.
Do you care?
Nope.
No. Yeah.
Mm-mm. I mean, I bought some really good shoes. Like, I have the shoes. I have beautiful, sparkly Christian Louboutins with a red bottom.
Ah,
That was my splurge.
got
So I
you.
have the shoes. That makes me happy.
And do you wear them?
No.
Did you say no?
Yeah. I mean, they're you'll see in the pictures. They're sparkly. I mean, they've got like little encrusted diamond little rhinestones on them.
Yeah.
I I just haven't had the occasion. I would wear them again though. I
Just
would. But
wear them on your
around the
anniversary.
house.
On May 3rd, I want to see a picture on Instagram of you with them
Okay,
on your
okay.
feet.
Okay, okay.
Oh, that makes sense though. Yeah.
Yeah, like the shoes, that was the thing. The dress, you know, of course. It was just it was wonderful for the occasion. It was everything I ever, you know, dreamed of. But I had to turn it back in at the end. I didn't have to dry clean it. Like one of my girlfriends took it back to LA for me. She gave it back to them. It was just so easy.
Right. And then so you didn't have to have it altered at all? Or can you?
Yes, they did do the alterations for me. Um, you know, it just worked out. Like that dress, it fit great. There was so like small alterations around the waist, and that was it. And they did that with no problem. And I guess that's part of like what they do at the company. If they have to, you know, alter things slightly, it's fine.
Yeah. That's just so much I don't know. Because I just assume that if you rent it, I'm thinking in my mind, I think Rent the Runway, where you just have two different
Well, that
dresses and you got to put it
right.
on. And if it doesn't work, you return it. And that's the end of that.
Exactly. Yeah, well, this company is really great, and I actually found them because I was a stylist in LA for like 10 years. So I found them working in television and working with actors, and I always kind of remembered them. And when I started looking up places to find dresses, I was like, well, I don't know if I like that idea, but let me just go there just in case. And that was where the one happened.
Was that the last place you went to? You said you went to
That
three.
was the last place. Yeah. Yeah. It was crazy. I mean, my mom's like, and I sort of was upset that we left that other one at the other place, the second place. And she's like, just, Leah, just, you know, you can't like rush these kinds of things, you know? I was so glad that she said that because, you know,
You ended up finding it.
I ended up finding it.
Great. Yeah. And was it much cheaper because you rented than the dress that you originally wanted?
Yeah, it was way cheaper. I mean, and then I could go ahead and get those good shoes that I
Shoes. I
wanted.
probably still have money left over. I'll get my shoes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
And also, like, wear a dress that's way out of my budget.
Yeah.
Because it was just a rental. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to afford that dress, but I got to wear it.
Yes. That's amazing. When I was looking for my dress, I had a designer that I was in love with. In Ball Drawer. Are you familiar with them at
I
all?
don't think so.
It's an Israeli designer. They're not even
cool.
here, and they're only in a handful of stores. And I think about this
Awesome.
probably. Well, yeah, this my fiance. I've tried not to talk about the dress because obviously
You don't
I'm
want
not
him to
married
get too
yet.
curious.
But he knows about this specific designer, and he knows that I did go, and I strictly went. They had a trunk show at a place in DC, and I went, and the gown that was in the magazines that I loved ended up being $13,000.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it was amazing though. It was great. It wasn't it
I
though.
bet.
It wasn't it. Luckily for me,
Yeah.
it wasn't it because I would have just been getting married. I would have had to try to convince him to marry me in City Hall.
Yeah, you get to wear the dress.
But yeah, I did at least get to wear it. So just thinking about the idea of being able to possibly just rent something that's way out of your budget, that sounds great. And then some people keep the dress and do what with it?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, even if you did have, $50,000 to throw down on your wedding, like if you spent $15,000 on your dress, what are you going to do with that big, gorgeous dress?
Right.
5 years from now.
Wear it on your anniversary. That's my plan. You wear
it. And people are like, yeah, exactly. Every anniversary, you get to see me in my dress again.
Yeah, it's like we get photos taken. So that first of all, it's motivation to try to stay in it.
Right. So you can stay fitting in it.
Keep fitting in it. So as far as fitting goes, did you have any body image issues? I know that the thing with destination weddings, well, most brides in general, as soon as you have a bride, you're sweating for the
absolutely.
wedding. But then you add the destination piece to it, and it's like a vacation that you always work hard for, and your wedding. Did you have any struggles with that at all?
Well, I just just because I knew that, these pictures are going to be around forever and we're going to be around all these people, we just need to look our absolute best. So I just started doing cardio bar and yoga and Pilates and just working out the hardest because, that's your moment. That's your shine day. You don't want to be and that day I felt great. There was never anything oh, I need to suck it in a little bit. I was just I was ready. It was good.
And you weren't angry and starving or anything?
No. Well, and also you realize after the wedding and, after the ceremony and you get back to your room, have someone put a plate in your room for you because you really don't eat. You don't.
That's real.
And that whole,
really don't.
I love food and I love to eat. That whole week, you're just dealing with so much. You're so excited and anticipating the event that you're just not hungry and you're dealing with so much stuff. And we were so hungry when we got to the room after the wedding. We were somebody put some popcorn or some potato chips and we were
yeah,
eating it because we realized wow, we had all this delicious food and we had one bite of our cake and one bite of food, and then you have to walk around and say thank you to everyone. And it was we just didn't, you don't really eat. So I was, as far as my body, I was feeling good because, I had worked out for so long up to that moment. And then really your stomach is already so flat because you're not eating like you usually eat. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I immediately went crazy and I'm still, I have my workout plan that I put on the side. I'm in it, but I also had to just make sure it wasn't me. My fiance had to stop me at one moment and go, hey, I'm marrying you. Like, I
Yeah,
proposed to you. So,
exactly.
but I went completely crazy with it. I've gone through, I mean, not completely crazy, working out, which is fine, but then I wanted Invisalign. So I want my teeth straightened, and I want to
Hmm.
figure out how, like, I want to wear my hair in a way that I've never worn it before, maybe, or just all types of
Yeah.
things where I'm suddenly starting to nitpick myself a little bit more. Now, Invisalign, I'm happy with. Actually, I've done it and I'm happy, and I always wanted it, but I just felt like for the wedding, again
Hmm.
with the photos, I did just want to
Yeah,
have my teeth as perfect as possible. It's one
exactly.
less thing to think about when I'm taking photos. But I just
Hmm.
feel like it was important for him to kind of put that bug in my ear and go, hey, you still are you. And I do want to marry
Yeah.
you. Be happy with you a bit,
Yeah.
but you can,
Yeah,
so
he
I
doesn't
like how
want to
you said,
see some like your sister walking down the aisle,
right.
like he wants to see who you are. He wants to recognize you. And
Yeah.
that's also
Who
important.
are
Like,
you? Yeah.
yeah, like when you're like going so hard and like, working out, like our fiance, now my husband, like they don't, not that they don't care, but they'd be happy either way.
Right. So it's for us. We just have to,
They already think we're beautiful,
enough
you
to
know.
marry, apparently. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I like how you said you just wanted to be the best that you could be instead of deciding that you
Exactly.
want to look like this person else that's just not you. So I
Right.
love that.
I
Right.
just wanted to be at my best and, to feel at my best and not have any worries or, self-consciousness or,
Yeah, I like that. So you were looking good, feeling good,
was looking good.
and
Hmm.
then 2 days later, you guys went off for your honeymoon.
Yeah, we went to Belize, which is like right next door to Guatemala. It's like, an hour and a half or 2 hours away. But it's away. And we did half of our honeymoon in like the jungle part of Belize where you can do all this hiking of Mayan ruins, and go kayaking through all these crazy caves, and they have like an old pine forest, and it's just so secluded and so romantic. And then the other half, we were in Ambergris Cay, which is like white sand, crystal water beaches, and we did I think 3 days in one and then 3 days in the other, and it was awesome.
Oh yeah, that's great. Did
Yeah.
you So I only know a little bit about Belize, but did you do the zip lining and all of that kind of stuff there?
We didn't do the zip lining. We have done zip lining before, but we didn't do zip lining while we were there. We sort of just did, the Mayan ruins and the beach, and that was it.
Okay. Did you
We
immediately
went
know that?
swimming with sharks.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah. Was it like the little
Yeah.
ones that are?
They were just nurse sharks, so it wasn't like we didn't have to be in a cage or anything. But it was still scary because it's still a shark, and they're like, they
Yeah,
probably won't bite you, but they have,
probably. Thanks.
yeah, like it's possible. So
Yeah, it
yeah, it
might
was fun.
happen. It may not.
Yeah, exactly.
Good luck. Have fun.
Good luck.
Fingers
Go on in.
crossed.
Yeah, and they speak English there, which is great. So we could just speak English and not have to worry about Spanish.
Yeah. So, did you guys know that you wanted to do a honeymoon in addition to your destination wedding? I know that's kind of like a back and forth, and on top of that, a separate honeymoon and a different.
Yeah. Well, I think so because we've spent so much time here, and it's sort of like it was always my second home. So it's kind of like, although it was, our destination wedding and we weren't living here at the time, we have been here so much visiting family that it was kind of like, okay, we got to go somewhere else because this is our, an excuse to go ahead and go somewhere.
Right. Huh. Yeah. Yeah.
Are you guys going anywhere? Or are you just going to stay there longer?
We're gonna stay there longer. We played
Hmm.
around back and forth with the different ideas, and we just pretty much decided that we're going to do like a 1 year something afterwards. But
Sweet.
we're gonna arrive in Mexico on Tuesday, get married on Saturday, and then leave Mexico on Wednesday. So
Oh, that's good.
we'll have a good
That's
little
enough.
bit. Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
a good little chunk of time. So we said it would be fun.
Fun.
But he wanted to originally
Cool.
get married in Mexico, no, in Jamaica. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted Mexico more than he did, and I ended up obviously winning with that. So
Yeah.
we considered doing something in Jamaica, but it just logistically it's not that easy of a thing to do.
Yeah, I feel like Mexico is a little bit easier. That maybe you guys can go to Jamaica on your 1 year anniversary.
Maybe we can go to Antigua.
Yeah,
Forget Jamaica. We'll go to
exactly.
Jamaica another time now.
Yeah, right. And you can bring your wedding dress and you can walk around with
Yeah,
your wedding
just
dress.
walk through town in my wedding dress. See? Travel with my wedding gown forever from now on, at least once
Yes,
a year.
yes,
That's hilarious. Okay, well, I appreciate you so very much.
of course.
I do love the fact that you guys have decided. Did you during wedding planning? Did you guys know that you were going to move to work to Jamaica?
It was kind of like always an idea. I mean, it's always been my dream, but it sort of took my husband kind of getting on board with the idea as well. And again, it kind of just came down to like Los Angeles is so expensive. And where else would we want to be besides LA, that we can enjoy our quality of life and like be able to get a house and um LA wasn't the place. And after continuing to spend more and more time here, it was like we still go back to LA all the time. But this is, it was like there was no question about kind of being here and making this our home.
Okay, and then you get to bring your stylish wonderfulness to Antigua and then share it with the
Yeah,
world.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that, the fabrics here are so beautiful and the artisan's work is so incredible that I was sort of, you know, I've always wanted to be a designer and I went to school for design. And here it's like, you don't have to really, I don't have to work so hard on designing pieces because so many beautiful things already exist.
Right.
I just, can go out to the markets and select all these, incredibly beautiful things and put them together in a different way. And, it works out.
Yeah, it sounds great. So I promised the guests that we would talk about your shop a little bit. So
Oh,
can you tell us a
thank
little bit
you.
about you and about your shop and all that good stuff?
Sure. Well, I went to school for design. I was a stylist in LA for 10 years, working in the entertainment industry. And when I moved here, I've always loved Guatemalan textiles and Guatemalan huipils and the history and the women here, sort of just, they work so hard. And I always sort of admired that. And I don't know, I just kind of, it just sort of happened that I fell in love with that and kind of moved away from the whole designing thing and started doing, curating pieces that I loved and would, change and make sort of different. Like my idea was, what can I do to make this stuff different and to kind of keep this Mayan tradition alive and, keep the artisans with a job because so many people are trying to modernize Antigua and Guatemala and change this rich Mayan culture. So I'm just trying to keep it alive in a way that us, modern young women will want to use, will want to put in their house, will want to have in their wedding. So that's the goal.
Yeah. So you sell, I know that you are able to customize napkins. What
Yes, I
else do you
can.
do?
I can customize anything. If you have an idea, I can do my best to make it come to life. I just got to order for a custom bag that I'm doing. So accessories, mostly textiles for people that are creative themselves and want to create something with textiles. A lot of people buy textiles to make their own T-shirts or add it to their denim jackets or whatever. I also sell home stuff. I sell a lot of pillowcases, a lot of colorful Guatemalan pillowcases. And I just put up, I'm doing now some designs of like these kind of vests with textiles.
Yes.
So
See those.
everything. Yeah, I just put the vest up and I'm going to make more. But anything, yeah. And Etsy is really easy. It allows me to do everything myself because, I'm not that good at technology. But I can take the picture with my iPhone and I can upload it onto my computer and I can write a description and I can do it all myself. And I work with a great shipping company here. So they, even though it's very far away, they ship to the States. They have a hub in the United States, and then they ship my items from Antigua to New Jersey, and then my customer gets their order.
Yes, I'm actually waiting on mine now, so I should get mine in a few days, and I'll be posting an unboxing video on that, so I'm really excited about that.
Oh, good. I can't wait.
Yeah, but I will say that the one thing that I obviously I was looking for a specific colorful texture, and I thought it was from Mexico that I wanted, and it turned out I had to just really dig to find out. And is it Huipil? How do you pronounce it?
It's pronounced Huipil.
Huipil. And that's Huipil. Yes.
Yes.
So I will have links to everything for sure for everybody on the show notes for today. But
cool.
The selling point for me, obviously your textiles were wonderful, and I had never done anything on Etsy, and I rolled my eyes at Etsy. I'm kind of a Pinterest and Etsy hater. I love Pinterest, but Pinterest would just make you lose your mind because there's way too many things, and I don't function well with that broad of a spectrum of ideas. And then for Etsy, it's the same thing. It's just so many different artisans, and you guys are everywhere, and everyone's creative, and how do I pick? So I found maybe 3 or 4, and then I just read reviews. I'm all about reviews. And there's this one review that I have to read that made me pick you.
Really?
Yes. And it says, "It's a challenge to buy ethically sourced textiles from abroad. I chose to purchase from Aline Mayen shop because her commitment to supporting artisan families and working directly with weavers to ensure they receive the best price. The textiles are beautiful and high quality, and she even included an extra gift as a thank you." I was sold. It's like, yep. And then now listening to you, it's just like, yes, this is what you want. You don't want just someone who's going to just pick something and just call it a day or just throw it, or it's really some factory something. And it's an extreme personal touch that you offer. And then I reached out to you, and it's been great. And and you let me, I'll just tell you guys now, you guys want her. If you are curious to adding any type of extra oomph to your wedding, do it. Reach out to her. Go to the show notes, and also tell people how to find you.
You can find me on Etsy. If you have Etsy, all you have to do is type Aline Mayen. It's ALINE Mayen, MAYAN. And I also have Aline Mayen on Instagram, and you can send me a direct message, or there's a link to the Etsy shop on Instagram also.
Yes, and you are not limited by what's on her site. She will go and find something for you.
If you have an idea, I'll help it become real.
Yes, that's so very true. So she is my very first Desty and Desty Pro. Thank you so very much, Mrs. Funkhauser.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that.
You're so welcome.